15 years ago when Tyler Tipton stepped on campus for the very first time. We had no idea that the group of 5 guys would be back here 15 years later. It's homecoming. It's Middle Tennessee versus Colorado State. Group of 5 guys, Murfreesboro, Tennessee. We are home. How good does it feel, Jesse Grisham?
Feels fantastic. I was just telling Jeff this morning, I don't know if it's the way the sun's rising or the first brisk fall air. The campus looks beautiful.
It does.
They've done so much renovations to this place that I guess I haven't taken notice until now. I mean, there's a lot of growth going on in Middle Tennessee. It's exciting.
Well, yeah, and me and Tip been talking about it all weekend. Every single place you go in this town has a new development, new neighborhood, new suburb. The town is growing. The whole area is growing. The school is growing. We got to get this football team growing.
Yeah.
And I think we got a good chance to show, because I think we're going to get some national attention today, regardless of what happens in this game. So it's homecoming. We should have a great crowd, should have a great tailgate. You can see behind us, people are already setting up. Game's not for another several hours. But like you said, it's fall. It's crisp.
Thank God, finally.
It's here.
It was so hot last week.
There
There was like memes going around that thought I was going to fall off the stage in my red face. I actually feel great this morning.
Well, we had a little worry about you. You know, last night we were getting some updates on you, Swaggy. We didn't know where you were, what you're up to. But, hey, you're here. We're back.
Nashville is 25 minutes away, and I made sure my presence was known. But I had a great time, and I'm glad to be here in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. And you're right, Sprouse. Huge opportunity for the Blue Raiders tonight.
A huge opportunity for both teams, too. Now, we're not going to be like game day and those folks and have a pep rally for Murfreesboro, Tennessee, even though it's our alma mater. But we got a good team in Colorado State, and they got something to prove, because coming off of, I mean, that had to be one of the most emotional games anybody on that roster has ever been a part of. So they've got an opportunity to bounce back, and they're looking for a little revenge, Murph, from a game last year when Middle blew them out.
Yeah, it was a great game in Fort Collins last year for the Blue Raiders. So you got to think that the Rams want to get some payback. Clay Millen didn't play great last year when he was the quarterback for the Rams, but they got a new guy behind center. BFN, Braden Fowler-Nicolosi. This guy looked great last week against Colorado. Absolutely was throwing it all over that field. Did have some turnovers, but for a young kid like that to come in on that stage, I thought he played absolutely great. And this defensive backfield for the Blue Raiders is going to absolutely have their hands full today.
Yeah, it's going to be really good. Jeff, is he a Italian fella? This
He's got. I mean, I don't know that for sure, but anything ends in a vowel, you got a good shot of being a Paisan. So if that's the case, we got Vadiato and Nicolosi going head to head.
I mean, this is not a
Tony
rivalry
Soprano
game.
Somewhere smoking that cigar, so
That's
I'm
right.
watching this one.
Well, we need. If there was a deli in town, it was an Italian deli that could maybe sponsor this game. That could have it. Maybe it could be a new rivalry game, the Battle of the Laney Special. Hot pastrami sandwich, everything on?
Everything on. That or the Battle of the Sopranos, even the Italian sandwich.
We're going to have to change the subject because I'm pretty hungry.
Well, we're going to get the show going, Jess, and then we'll probably go get some food. So anybody that's watching wants to hang out with the group of 5 guys, probably be at the Boulevard post-show, watch some of the noon games, and then we'll be right back over here in the Grove to tailgate, which, by the way, I know Ole Miss gets a lot of credit for their Grove, which rightfully so. It's incredible, but this is a pretty good tailgate scene. I mean, to have where you can come out here and you got the shade, you got the trees, you got the whole area. You can come out here, pull the trucks up. I mean, there's 16 Toyota Tacomas right in front of me here. I never seen anything like it.
When I do think of college tailgating, you know, when you think of NFL, they always, that's what they call it, the lot parties.
Yeah, parking lot.
When I think of college football, I like the trees and the shade. So I mean, this is a really good foundation for some tailgating here in Murfreesboro, Tennessee.
And I'm going to issue a challenge for the Blue Raider fans, for the Greeks that are behind us. 30 minutes before kickoff. That's all it takes. Break down the tent, put the beer away, walk your ass into that stadium, because we got a big ball game and we need everybody in there.
Yeah, and you got the beer garden in the stadium. You know, there's no reason to not go over. This is going to be a fantastic game, and they're going to need every bit of energy on that sideline for the Blue Raiders today.
That just fired me up. I forgot about the beer garden.
I like the pen wag. A new addition to you on this show, Jess.
Well, I'm not using the signs anymore because those things are blowing everywhere. So,
well, if you had used popsicle sticks like you said you were going to do, they probably would have had a little more weight to them. Would have stayed on the table a little bit.
Couldn't spring for the popsicle sticks.
Yeah.
Well, God knows
Anyway,
you probably
they were
ate
too-
a whole.
they-
You
they
know,
were
you could have
too-
just ate a whole pack
They
of
were
popsicles
too
and
expensive.
you
They
were
were,
out
low,
of
they were
sticks.
low in demand. Low in supply.
Well, hey, look, enough of that intro. If you guys don't know who we are the Group of Five guys. Our goal is to be the voice for these Group of Five football programs that we saw last week the mainstream sports media refuses to do. We need all of your help to do that. We need you to follow us, all the social media platforms at Group of Five Guys. Go to YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you stream your best podcast. We got a live show every Tuesday night, recapping the weekend's games. And then we're live from campus every Saturday morning, streaming on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Or you can go to groupoffiveguys.com, get you some Group of Five Guys swag. We got golf polos, we got hats, we got sweatshirts. We got all kind of stuff. We did have football last night and Thursday night, and we had, I don't want to say a surprise, but maybe a surprise, because Thursday night in the Sun Belt, the Georgia State Panthers, my dark horse, by the way, absolutely dominated Jeff Murphy's pick to win the conference in the Chanticleers of Coastal Carolina. So, Jeff, I'll start with you first. What went wrong for Coastal?
At the point of attack, Coastal just got beat up on both sides of the ball, in my opinion. Offensively, you know, they did good things at times. Grayson McCall was able to throw the ball, but I mean, he got pressure all night, and a couple guys just didn't really step up for that offense. But here's my thing. I wasn't in love with the play calling. You know, it just seemed very vanilla at times. You got to get Jared Brown, you know, get Sam Pickney in situations to where they can dominate, get those matchups, and you do that by motions, different formations. You got to move guys around, and it just didn't seem like they did that very well. Maybe it's more credit to Georgia State that they had a great defensive game plan coming in, but I was expecting a lot more out of that offense, and it just kind of fell flat, and Darren Granger kind of took over on the other side of the ball and showed that he's one of the top quarterbacks in the Sun Belt this year.
Well, one thing that I noticed, last year me and Swaggy went to the Coastal Georgia State game in Atlanta, and we noticed Grayson McCall is so good at when he's rolling out of the pocket, when he's scrambling a little bit about keeping his eyes downfield. I noticed Darren Granger was the one doing that this past night, and I'll go to you, Tip, on this. Marcus Carroll, 150 yards on the ground. Georgia State is a big physical team, and that run game, I think, just wore on Coastal.
That's exactly right, and that's something I mentioned on the podcast on Tuesday was we saw some success with Jacksonville State running the ball against Coastal Carolina. The thing with Jacksonville State was they were having some issues with throwing the ball against Coastal secondary. But what you saw in this game was not only was Georgia State able to run the ball successfully with Marcus Carroll, but Darren Granger was throwing the ball and looked very good back there. This offense and this team in general looks great. Sprout's great dark horse pick, by the way.
Well, and I know Jesse will like this, but they have taken on the identity of their head coach. And we've been saying it for 3 years. That guy is a psychopath. He's headbutting his players pregame. He's all over the place. He's looks like a world-class power lifter. I mean, they told us when we went there, he makes the administrative staff work out with him.
Yeah, and then he's also in his room listening to death metal. He listens to death metal before the game.
He does.
Like he locks the door, and everybody just doesn't know what he does in there, but he's doing something, and it's working this year.
Yeah.
I'm going to brag on myself because I'm good at bragging on myself. I was in a slump for 2 weeks betting. Bet responsibly, and I did the money line for Georgia State, and
you did do it. I thought you backed out.
I lied there.
You took
I lied there.
the- you took
I
the
did.
plus
I
6.5.
You did
I
took
said-
the
I
points. You
said-
still won.
I said money line on the show, and I did chicken out.
You did.
Because
Yep.
it was at Coastal. But I'm gonna tell you right now, we can say play calling, but that was just a grown man ass whooping.
Yes.
That's what that was.
Yes,
by
it
Georgia
was.
State. And Darren Granger, I got a lot of heat on Twitter because I was just so fired up. I said, I think Georgia State's the best team in the Sun Belt East right now. And Darren Granger is a force to be reckoned with. And the growth that he's had from last year to this year, call me crazy. And I'm looking at like a Cam Newton 2.0, possibly. This team is real. This team is real.
They are real.
And I know that I may blow things out of proportion, but they are fun to watch. And I know for a fact every Sun Belt team, they saw that game. They said, oh, crap.
Well,
they're coming.
You absolutely have added now a contender in the East.
No doubt.
Where we knew Coastal was a contender in the East. We knew App State. We knew about Georgia Southern. Georgia State now is right there in that mix and just adds another problem for these teams. And
they just need to play every game away. That's their thing. They got it. And
Yeah,
hopefully
get on the
this
road.
gets more people to come to their games.
well, yeah.
We'll get through these.
100%. And then last night you had some games in the Mountain West. You had Boise State and San Diego State. Boise State pulled out a win. Ashton Genty, that was the Ashton Genty that we've been waiting for all season, that the fans were so excited about. I know George Halani's out, but you got 205 yards out of Ashton Genty, and you didn't get a ton out of the quarterback, but if you can run for 205 on the ground with just one guy, you got a chance. And they did that against a really good San Diego State defense.
They did, and it surprised me early. San Diego State goes up on them, and then Boise State just dominates with that ground game. But, yeah, I think until Taylon Green can make that next jump and step, that's what's going to set Boise State over and going to put them in the spot to be the favorite in the Mountain West. So a little disappointed just in kind of his start to the season. But as we saw last year, they really got things rolling the second half of the season, so he's got plenty of time. But great win. You lean on that guy like Genty last night when things aren't going good, and you see what he can do for you.
Well, go ahead, Tip.
I just want to give some. I just want to shout out Jalen Maiden, San Diego State quarterback. He is looking better and better every single week. I feel like he started the game maybe 9 for 9, 10 for 10, something like that. He's looking super good back there because last year we saw he struggled a little bit throwing the ball. He's improved on that in the offseason, and it's showing so far this season. So I wanted to give him a shout out. He had a fantastic game last night.
We certainly, Tip, when we were watching that, Jonathan's Bar and Grill, by the way, shout out to them, great facility here in Murfreesboro. We did not think San Diego State was going to score that much.
Right.
But they did, and they made it a heck of a game. Also in the Mountain West, Air Force Falcons dominant again. I mean, they run that option just beautifully, and they're patient. I mean, we sat there and watched 4 yards, 4 yards, 4 yards.
Every time.
8 yards, 4 yards, and just right down the field. And, again, I will give some credit to Shavon Cordero because on the first drive of the game, San Jose State came out, and he looked on it. I mean, absolutely money, but then they kind of, I think Air Force had the ball for 8-9 minutes on their second possession of the game. And it's tough, Jeff, as a quarterback to get in a rhythm when you got that going on.
It is, and like you said, he started off the game something crazy for 12 of 13. I mean, he was looking really, really good. But this comes into the rule change now. You got a team like Air Force. San Jose State is a team that needs the ball on offense to score. Their defense is solid, but they're not world beaters. They're going to have to outscore teams. And when you take possessions away from that offense in the grand scheme of the game, it just limits their ability to score points, and you saw that last night, and Air Force dominated that second half.
That's a really good point. That's a really good point. Sorry, Sprouse.
No, go.
With the running clock and stuff, with these teams like Air Force is over there just licking their chops, saying it's like a cheat code you put in.
It plays into their hand and the way they play.
Well, most teams go to a 4-minute offense to close out a game. Air Force is we'll just take the whole quarter down.
They look at 9 minutes and they're thinking, okay, we can have the ball for 9 minutes. I mean, I guarantee you there's a stat out there. They can hold the ball for 9 minutes a bit.
Yeah.
Well, and one other thing, it's funny. Me and Tip were so wrong, immediate pregame last night as we're watching it. We're talking about how John Lee Eldridge hasn't done much this year. We're it's been all Owen Burke. Well, Owen Burke was out. So Eldridge and Emmanuel Michel just went ahead and put up 250 on the ground for Air Force. And, I mean,
plug and play.
Man, they
not only that, but they are 4 deep at running back.
Yeah.
This team, I'm not kidding. We were watching the game last night and we looked at the rest of their schedule. This Air Force team could potentially win out and go undefeated this year. And you're looking at a matchup in the conference championship game with Fresno State possibly.
That's right.
Credit where credit's due. I think you said that in the preseason. You said it'd come down to the last game. Maybe they'd lose the last game and they play in the championship.
Well, I said the winner. Yeah, I said Air Force Boise last week of the season and then they would play the following week. But that being said, I was wrong on Fresno State, and they've got 2 Power 5 wins already. We talk a lot about Tulane, but Fresno State's right there still as maybe the top team in the group of 5. And, Jeff, I know you're a Fresno guy.
Huge Fresno State guy. Love Jeff Tedford. I grew up watching him when he was coaching at Cal and had all those great quarterbacks there. And he's just continued to do that at his alma mater, which is Fresno State. Plugs in Mikey Keene, and that offense is just continuing to roll. Eric Brooks is the star now out on the outside. And their defense this year, that is, to me, is what's been the biggest difference. Their defense is really, really good. And I don't care what you say. You shut out not very good Arizona State team, but that's a Power 5 program that you put a goose egg on. So look out for Fresno State.
Love a goose egg.
Well, no doubt. And, guys, we have a special guest coming on with us today, a guy that I don't know, did he win the golf tournament yesterday? I think there was a lot of score fudging yesterday.
Somebody was cooking the books.
I'm still a little bit upset. There was they made up some tiebreaker mid-round. And so, Lee, what's your title these days? Assistant, executive, athletic,
Something like
something
that.
or other director.
Yeah, deputy athletic director.
I like it. Well, Lee, thank you, sir, for coming on with us. Did you have
Good
a
to
heck of
see
a
you
time
guys,
yesterday
man.
playing golf or what?
Heck yeah, we had fun. It was a good turnout. Hermitage is a cool course. We had a lot of fun. I did not play well, but I actually just saw Donovan Sims' mom and sister over here, and I walked up to them. I was like, is it just me or is Donovan good at like everything that he does? Because he's been playing golf since COVID, and I swear he could shoot a 78 right now. I mean, the guy's
Every year
unbelievable.
he seems to take it down.
And they're like, yeah, he's good at whatever he wants. They even said he's good at gymnastics. Like the guy,
He's one of those guys.
He's one of those guys.
Yeah, that's the guy when
I'm
you're
not
like
that guy.
in elementary and middle school and you're playing ultimate frisbee and dodgeball, and you're like,
Yeah.
why is this kid good at this
He's
stuff?
super coordinated. So Reggie Upshaw, however, I will say was not good.
Well, he's a little
Like,
tall to be.
and by
golfing, I
not
think.
good, I mean really, really not good.
Atrocious.
Did not hit the ball every time he swung it. Let's
atrocious.
just say there was a couple swings and misses. It was not pretty, but he's a great dude, man. Reggie Upshaw.
He's
I'm so
awesome.
glad to have him back.
Well, we'll just remember Reggie Upshaw for the dagger dunk
Yes.
against Michigan State.
He
in
told
the
me that
NCAA
story, by the
tournament.
way. I don't know. I'm sure we got lots to cover, but real quickly, I asked him, like, hey, did you mean to hang on the rim and, like, do that? He's like, oh, yeah. Before the game, my brother was like, dude, if you dunk on him, you better hang. And he was like, all right. So he hangs on the rim. And, you know, usually you see it from, like, the back where the picture in the Murphy Center is. But he said that at the end, right before he let go, he saw his brother in the crowd, and he
that's
stuck his
tight.
tongue out at him.
That's
from
awesome.
the rim.
That is absolutely awesome. That whole sequence was one of my, outside of football, was one of my favorite weeks.
No doubt.
And then everybody was at the Boulevard watching the Syracuse game the following night or weekend or whatever.
Yep.
But what an awesome time. Well, Lee, we got a lot going on in Murfreesboro
Yeah,
right now.
let's
We got a lot
go.
at Middle Tennessee happening. Jesse was talking about how awesome the campus looks. Let's talk about the football facility.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
Where are we at? What's the progress?
You know, we got a little delayed. You know, the state of Tennessee is not the quickest moving at times, so we got a little delayed with the demolition. But the demolition is going great. We've taken everything down in the north end zone, the weight room, the team meeting room, and obviously the bleachers on the upper deck. So it's a 2-year project. So if you go back to when we started the demolition, which was probably July. It's looking, June, July of 25 for substantial completion, but that's very contingent on weather. And as we all know, in Middle Tennessee, there can be a lot of rain. And so, worst case scenario, it's right before the football season of 25.
Awesome. Well, switching gears on you a little bit, we talked about it a minute ago. How important is this game just being what Colorado State did last week? A ton of national eyes on Colorado State. You got homecoming here at Middle. The Raiders are still favored in this game, but how important do you think this game is for some national attention?
This game's huge, especially going into next week against our arch rivals with Western Kentucky and start a conference play. We surprised a lot of people when we beat Colorado State so badly last year on the road, but then they didn't have a great season, so we kind of knew, like, okay, well, maybe they weren't that good. But the way they played last weekend against Colorado was obviously incredibly impressive, and, we're going to have to bring our A game tonight. But, man, I was just driving in. There's people everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
great.
I don't know if I've ever seen this kind of pregame vibe here in Murfreesboro in my 2 years here. So I think we're going to have a great crowd tonight. I think tailgating is going to be unbelievable.
Yep.
The parade's going to be a lot of fun. So I just texted my staff. I'm like, guys, there's people everywhere. Let's have some fun today. This is going to be a great game. Let's soak it all in.
You're firing me up. That's right.
I got chills. I mean, you can't
Yeah.
fake it.
Let's go.
And we challenged these fans earlier. Now it's homecoming, so we get it. There's a lot of spectacle. We need you butts in
the
seats
stadium.
at kickoff and stay there until the fourth quarter. Stock
right.
said it best. Whiskey Dicks does not get cranked up until like 11 p.m. I mean,
No rush to get there.
That's right.
Yeah.
look at Jesse. He's like, Whiskey Dicks. I forgot about that
No,
now.
I forgot about it. It's a
Well,
new
it's
there's
come
a
back.
new location.
It's
and
come
I
back with the
determined,
Wait a minute.
I determined last night. I said, well, I got to at least go look at the new location.
You got to
got
see
to.
it.
You
Well, you
gotta
want to
at
look,
least try it.
inspect it a
we know
little bit.
Swagger. He's not just going to look at the new location.
No, he's not. He's
I
gonna-
just had a
gonna be a long
breakfast with the legendary Chase Miller, as in Miller time, at the
time.
Murphy Center, and he was like, "Dude, campus looks incredible." And I'm like, "Yeah, it really does. Like, this place is moving. The tennis complex will be done in November or December. You got the new concrete and construction management building. You got the new engineering building going up behind that. We just had our big announcement on Thursday, whatever day that was, for Shelbyville Airport. I mean, this university's spending some money, and I think this campus is going to really be unbelievable here, especially the athletics footprint in the next couple of years. I'm on the committee for the new hotel on campus, and that's picking up some steam here. We're getting bids for the RFP for the new on-campus hotel. So between the Student Athlete Performance Center, the tennis complex, the new hotel, the new engineering building, the new airport, I mean, this place is on fire.
Well, Lee, talk about that. I don't think a lot of people know that the campus is getting a hotel.
We are.
How is that? What's the plan for that?
Yeah.
What's all that going to entail?
I don't know how much I can say because I'm on the committee, but I think it's going to be about 100 beds, hotel,
Awesome.
4 stories, right next to the Murphy Center. It's either going to be in the grass area where the tailgating is, RV lots right there, or it's going to be in the Woodfin lot across the street on the other side of Middle Tennessee. But regardless, it's going to be a stone's throw from the Murphy Center, and visiting teams can stay there, recruits can stay there, visiting faculty and guest speakers and people that are interviewing for jobs on campus, and so it's going to be a game changer.
Visiting teams, we're too nice, man. You gotta have these guys stay way out.
Yeah.
No, you're not thinking logically. They're going to spend money
That's right.
On your campus.
That's right. Or
money's going to the
Domenico's.
Hey,
that too.
Let's go.
That's right. That's why
Yeah,
you're
but
there and I'm over here.
you know what you do though? I think you put them on Broadway somewhere. A little bit of
Entice 'em.
they always say about teams going to play the Dolphins or whatever. South Beach is
That's
undefeated.
right.
Well, I think Broadway's got a little thing. You get the coaches out, get the GAs out there on Broadway,
That's
and
right.
But Lee, before we talk a little football, what can fans, students, alumni, what can we do to help with this progress at Middle Tennessee?
So the cool part about this the project, the Build Blue campaign, it's going to end up being, in my opinion, not only over 100 million, probably more like 120, 130 million when all said and done of athletic facility upgrades. Good news is that we don't have to fundraise all of that. We get a lot from student fees. Thank you, MTSU students. We really appreciate their support. We're going to get some money, hopefully, from the state, maybe some money from the city. But right now, private fundraising, our goal is $25 million from individual people, and we've raised 22.8 of that goal. So we're right on target. It started as a $15 million goal. We surpassed that. Then we bumped it to 20 million and surpassed that, and now we're at 22.8 million. And so if you still want to contribute and still help the cause, buildbluenow.com is the website, buildbluenow.com. And we're now raising money officially for the Murphy Center renovation, which is phase 2. So the Student Athlete Performance Center is fully funded, $66 million cash in the bank, and we're spending it on that project. Now all the money being raised is going to go towards the Murphy Center renovation.
Well, I'll have you know, Lee, yesterday that I upped my membership.
Let's go.
So I went 100%,
Let's
110%
go. Yes.
yesterday. So
Appreciate
I think
it.
you guys will be able to buy a lock
Putting
or
money
two for
where
some
his-
stalls with what I donated.
Putting
But
money where his mouth is. I love it.
that's right. Well, Lee, real quick, gonna make you make a pick. Middle Tennessee, Colorado State. Give us a final score.
Well, I'm definitely going with the Blue Raiders, and I think Nick Vattiato is going to have a huge game. I think DJ England Chisholm, who hadn't scored yet, is going to score.
I agree.
I think Flip is going to continue to turn heads with his blazing speed out of the running back position. Look for Justin Olson to have another big game as well. So if Justin and DJ can get going on offense and Nick distributes the ball like he can, I think we'll win. I'm going to go 35. No, I'm going to go 38-24.
38-24.
Like
Good
high
pick.
scoring affair.
Good
Take
pick.
the over,
Let's
you say.
go.
I love
Let's go.
Justin Olson. That kid's such a
He
dog.
has got the dog in him,
He
man.
does.
That dude is built different. I love him.
Yeah. Well, Lee, we appreciate you as
Y'all are
always.
awesome.
Thank
Love
you
the
for
Group of
coming
Five
on.
guys.
No, thank you for
Appreciate it, Lee.
supporting us.
Appreciate y'all. Have a great day.
Appreciate you, man.
Go Blue.
Yep.
Sir. Well,
I love that too, by the way. I mean, we'll get to the game, but I think it's a no-brainer. It's going to be a high-scoring affair tonight.
yeah, I think you're going to
think
have
so.
a lot of offense tonight, especially with Kamara out for the first half. It's going to limit some of the pressure Colorado State can put on middle. The hotel,
The tackle.
man.
I mean, speaking as a former offensive lineman, I find out he's not playing. I'm in that hotel, like, thank God.
That's the one, Jessica. We always talk about our old pregame meetings in the tunnel. That's where I'm like, hey, 8 is in sweatpants. And you're like, yes.
No doubt.
But so, as always, we appreciate Lee DeLeon for coming on. He has done a heck of a job raising funds and getting some stuff moving. We've been talking about it for a decade, getting shovels in the dirt. Well, I don't know if it's a coincidence, but when that guy got here, they started putting shovels in the dirt. So credit to him and credit to
Big
his
part.
staff on that, and credit to my 110% upgrade on my
That's a
membership.
big. That's a
yesterday.
big donations, bro. Good for you. Good for if you're donating to your alma mater.
Well, I was in the bathroom and I saw a really nice stall and I saw the locks and then I looked and said, how much are those locks? They were $110 for a set of 5, so I donated $110.
There you go.
You know what I mean?
Fantastic.
They should
Strauss.
name the place after me. Anyway, guys,
day
we
they
got
will.
we got to talk football for today. We got some big time games. Honestly, the noon slate is incredible.
Stacked.
So we got to get this thing fired up. We got to get going. In the American Conference, we got a couple games. We got Miami. This is Miami of Florida going to Temple today. Temple. Good luck. Philadelphia. They're playing in a stadium that's too big. They've got to do something there.
How's your boy Warner been doing?
He's been doing good.
He's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know if he has a ton of help up
He's
there.
fine. Yeah, he does.
Anyway, next game.
No, yeah. So, Jess, I'm going to go to you on this. Tulsa at NIU. You know, he talked about flip here at middle. NIU lost 2 running backs last year that I don't think gets enough talk to the portal. But Rocky Lombardi, man, he's got to protect the ball. He's only thrown 1 touchdown pass. He's already thrown 4 picks.
Yeah.
That's not going to get it done.
Yeah, these are 2 teams where in the past few years I've been kind of jumping on the ship and then jumping off. NIU, I was very high on them. I think Tulsa's got a very, very good ground game. They have 3 running backs that are killing it so far this year. NIUs are struggling on defense, so I'm going to say Tulsa gets the victory because they played Oklahoma and they played Washington, 2 very good teams. So I think they're going to get to NIU hosting NIU. Oh, it's at NIU.
Yep.
So,
At
it's
NIU.
at NIU, so that's good for them. But if unless Lombardi plays up to his level, which I haven't seen yet, I'm going to take Tulsa.
Yeah. That's 2 teams that have got to figure it out, I think.
I mean, and Tulsa's been turning the ball over as well. So
Yeah.
I think whoever wins that turnover battle in this game is going to end up winning this game. I agree with Jesse on this one. I'm kind of leaning towards Tulsa in that running game today.
Which is really good for NIU because every time I go with Tulsa, Jeff, they lose.
Well, you've been going with them as a program for several years. But anyway, we got FAU going to Illinois. Casey Thompson is out, knee injury. So we'll see what FAU can do there. Casey Thompson hasn't been fantastic. He's been turning it over a bunch too, so we'll see what happens when they come in on this game. One of the big games of the weekend, preseason, you would have thought this was arguably the game of the weekend, but it's kind of been both teams not as good as we thought. UTSA, the Roadrunners, go into Knoxville, 21-point underdogs. Frank Harris is out. Jeff, what does UTSA have to do to just stay in that game?
I mean, they gotta control the ground game, which is going to be difficult just with that big front for Tennessee. But not only is Frank Harris, and this is just the injury report that I read this morning, these are all questionable. You think Frank Harris is not going to play. Dan Dishman is questionable. Trey Moore is listed as questionable. And J.T. Clark is still listed as questionable. So if they go into this game with your top 4 or 5 guys, not playing, it is going to be a tough stretch for this Roadrunner, offense especially. But here's the thing. I thought Eddie Lee Marburger played really, really well. I know they lost, but I thought he played well. He had 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. I want to see how he is because I think he's going to be the future of the Roadrunner program. I want to see how he plays up in Neyland today. And who knows if Tennessee has not looked good this year. So if somehow San Antonio can hang around late and steal one, it's happened before. We've seen it with Georgia State.
Well, Tennessee's just been inconsistent so far this year, especially on offense. So UTSA is going to have to rely on their defense.
Yeah, that's right.
Today. So if they can keep this game low scoring going into the second half, just give yourself a chance to just keep that game close in the second half.
They've got to stop the run with Tennessee. They're not as prolific as they were a year ago with the quarterback, but their run
Tennessee's
game's
also
pretty good.
deep at running back.
Yeah.
Too, yeah.
So that's going to be, and that's where you typically see an SEC team wear down on a Group of 5 team, and so that's what. You okay?
They got no shot. I'm sorry, UTSA. That's going to be because they're going to be coming off that. They're going to come off that Florida loss. And it's going to be bad in Knoxville tonight. I feel like
they could, but I mean, if Joe Milton comes out 4 for 9 like he did a game or 2 ago, and a couple of 3 and outs on defense for UTSA, you never know. But again, it's just going to be how close is the game in the second half. If Tennessee gets up 2 or 3 scores there in the second half. I don't think they have a
Tennessee's
I don't
going to
think UTSA
Tennessee,
has a
so
chance.
you never know what can
Can I
happen
just
with
say
those
something
guys.
here in Murfreesboro, several hours away from Knoxville, Tennessee? If you have an orange tent,
I
it's
was wondering if you were
disgusting.
gonna say something.
Absolutely disgusting. I mean, and if there's anybody back behind us that's got one, or if you're going to sit out here at this tailgate and watch that game and not go into the Blue Raider territory tonight in Floyd Stadium, it's embarrassing and it's inappropriate. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Rice going to South Florida. Raymond James. Tip, we talked about that a little bit last night, a little bit this morning. I like South Florida as home dogs in this game. 2.5 points right now. But South Florida, I mean, Jesse, I know Alabama is struggling. But if you're a South Florida team and you hold them to 17 points for a defense that has been bad for a long time, that's going to be one of those scenarios where you lose 17-3, but I think their fan base is going to be excited about their team today, and I think they're going to come in and put on a show at home.
And I'm going to say this: so this South Alabama team held Alabama to 17 points. I think Rice scores more than 17 points today, but it won't get talked. We'll talk about it, but it won't get talked about on your ESPNs or anything like that.
Yeah, well, Rice can score, but I think South Florida, I think they're excited about what they did last week. I don't really know. I haven't looked at the injury report. I'm hoping that they're healthy. That's the key when you come out of a game like that.
Yeah, I think Byron Brown is going to be the starting quarterback today, and he played well. He's a dual threat guy. He's leading them in rushing and passing, but he can't turn the ball over. That's the biggest thing. And with JT Daniels, that offense is rolling for Rice right now.
Yeah,
they can score points.
Also in the American, the rest of the games, you got Gardner Webb going to East Carolina. Charlotte goes to Florida. Charlotte is going to play a walk-on quarterback 50% of the snaps, according to Biff Poggi. Charlotte's got to figure something out. I mean, Poggi's been firing in the media. He's been firing at himself, firing at his players, his coaches. I know it's Florida. They got a lot of momentum, but, they just got to – again, when we talk about these games, you just got to play clean. No dumb penalties, no turnovers, and compete. We know that Florida is a better team on paper than Charlotte, but you just want to come out healthy. You want to play hard. You want to not do dumb stuff, hit your assignments, and you'll at least play a good game, and then you have some momentum going into the next week, going into conference play. You got Nicholls State at Tulane, and you got UAB at Georgia. Only thing I want to say about those games is Tulane is going to play Michael Pratt. Now, Michael Pratt has sat out the last 2 weeks versus Southern Miss and Ole Miss. You look at maybe they're trying to get him back into game rhythm, getting him ready for conference play, but I think they're just fine without him, honestly, even in the conference.
They may be building his stats up. Maybe they want to help him out for the next level.
No, I think after sitting out 2 weeks that you want to give the guy some live bullets before you get into conference play. So I think they want to get him in there. I don't know if he'll play the entire game.
That's a good point. He'll
But
probably
give
just
him,
play half.
give him some snaps. If they get up big, they'll pull him out.
Yeah, well,
Both
and
Horton.
we talked about it preseason. What would some of these teams do when they're playing the non-conference games? Would they, play to win, try to go undefeated, or they focus on winning the conference? And I think it depends. And now that Tulane has the loss, you're probably not going to be a playoff team. You still got a chance at the New Year's Six, so you just got to win out. And then you look at UTSA, and at this point in the season, let's rest Frank Harris, let's rest JT Clark, let's get him ready for conference play, because you're going to end up going against teams like Tulane, SMU, that you're going to need all hands on deck to take care of. Let's go to Conference USA. La Tech going to Nebraska. Eastern Michigan at Jacksonville State. I think Jacksonville State's going to win that game. I think they're a lot better. I mean, I think you guys all had them as a dark horse Conference USA, or at least a team that was better than everybody was going to think. I think they get it done today. Liberty at FIU. Let me tell you something. If I told you preseason that one of these teams was 3-0 and the other one was 3-1, I mean, come on now. This is a big-time ball game, and I think the cage, they call it, down in Miami, I mean, they might have a crowd down there.
Sprouse, once you get momentum, like I was joking with you, making fun of you the past couple of weeks, but hell, something's going on down there in Miami. So
I got a stat for you guys. I told Tip this morning. Here you go. Liberty throws the ball for 254.3 yards per game. FIU's defense allows 254.3 yards passing per game. If you're a betting man and you want to get real specific, Jess, get out your phone, lock this in. Liberty will throw for 254.3 passing yards.
lock.
First,
Yeah, that's a lock.
Yeah,
That guy just scared the hell out of me.
yeah, I mean,
I just looked to my left, and I was like, oh, I thought he was coming
I thought
at
it was
me.
that Tennessee fan coming.
yeah, you heard what I said. Yeah, you heard what I said, pal. You're not that guy, pal. Yeah, so that's an interesting game. I think FIU's going to keep it closer than people think. It's a double-digit spread, but Caden Salter, Liberty, Jeff, they're looking really, really good right now.
I mean, they look by far the favorite so far in Conference USA, but this is a huge conference matchup between these two top teams, and I know it's weird saying that about FIU, but they are, and that started with both quarterbacks, Caden Salter and Keon Jenkins, who I think is the best freshman starting quarterback in the country right now. I mean, the numbers he's putting up, the value he's adding to his team, because they have a great ground game. They've been able to be, decent on defense, holding some teams to some points, but he has been the difference maker on that team, and he's the reason why they have 3 wins.
Well, if you're Coach Mack down there at FIU, you've got to be so excited that you have a freshman quarterback that you hope you can keep him now, that you think you have for the next 3-4 years as you're trying to build a program. So
get him a deal.
Yeah, that's right. Find some NIL deal. I know there's something down there that'll keep people in Miami. Just keep them going from the other school across the way in Miami if you can. Sam Houston going to Houston. I think that's going to be I don't know if we know what the over-under is on that game, but I would say take the under. I mean, Sam Houston's not allowing any points this year, and Houston,
It's 37.
that's pretty low. I'd take the under. I think the final score of that game is going to be like 20-10, something like that. But anyway, I think Sam Houston will keep it tight. I think Houston's going to pull away there. Very interesting game. UNLV at UTEP. UTEP, we were high on preseason. UNLV we thought could scare some people, but they got a big win over Vandy last week, and they were down big early and came back. So that's what was more impressive about that win to me is you were down 17-0. You come back against a quote unquote Power 5 team, SEC team. It's still Vandy. They've looked better this year. That's a big win for UNLV, and I think they got a lot of momentum. I think they're going to go in there and take care of business for UTEP, Jeff.
I do. I think the Rebels take care of business, and what's even more impressive about that win is Brumfield leaves the game with an injury, and then freshman quarterback Jaden, and I hope I say this right, Miava. I can't pronounce it. But he came in and just played phenomenal in that game, and he's the reason why they ended up beating Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
So I think he gets to start today. I think he continues that play and how he played last year because UTEP, and I was way off on them. I mean, I thought they were going to be one of the top teams in Conference USA. They have not showed it. Haven't really started conference play. They only had one conference game so far, so they still have time to figure it out. Hardison, come on, man. You got to wake up. This offense has got to wake up. You got too many playmakers to not be scoring enough points.
You got to get some momentum going into conference play. You also got New Mexico State at Hawaii. Interesting game there. In the MAC, we got some good ones in the MAC. Some underrated games in the MAC that I don't think a lot of people are talking about. Western Michigan going to Toledo. Toledo, by far, looks like the best team in the MAC. I think they get that done. But, Jesse, we went to this game a year ago, Georgia Southern at Ball State. Here's the deal. Davis Brin threw 5 interceptions last week, and they were still in that game for a long time. Yeah. I mean, you can't turn it over like that, but Georgia Southern, I mean, they should dominate.
I'm
this
not
game.
jumping off the Georgia Southern train.
No.
Wisconsin looked really good last night, too. Yeah, you can't throw 5 interceptions. I don't think I would throw 5 interceptions if I was playing against Wisconsin. But, but anyway, I think that Georgia Southern are going to go in there. I haven't seen Ball State, to be completely honest with you, but when we saw them live, they were
small.
They were tiny.
Yeah.
So I think Georgia Southern, they're going to get it done. Just based off experience, I think Georgia Southern's going to bounce back. Big win.
Yeah, I like Georgia Southern big in that game. You got Ohio going to Bowling Green, Delaware State going to Miami of Ohio. Miami, what we talk about every week, can't have a letdown after a big rivalry Power 5 win a week ago against Cincinnati. So got to play that game clean. Central Michigan going to South Alabama. If you look at that game, South Alabama's the one that can't have a letdown. And we're going to talk a little more.
It's a recipe right there.
Yeah, we're going to talk a little more Sun Belt right now, but South Alabama still just quietly under the radar. Everybody's talking about the East over there. Everybody's talking about Georgia State, App State. South Alabama's just like, well, we're over here in the West. Troy don't look that good. Yeah. Southern Miss don't look that good. And we're dominating everybody we play. And so far, you played Tulane better than anybody has played with South Alabama. So.
Yeah. And if they can play continuing like they played last week against Oklahoma State, that's the type of South Alabama team that they need to put on the field week in and week out.
100%. You got Akron going to Indiana. Here's a big game now. Buffalo at Louisiana. I know we got this under the MAC section, but you got Sunbelt talk. Let's talk a little Sunbelt here. Louisiana brings in the new quarterback. Zion is his name. Zion Chris. I have not seen the Terry Johnsons and the Ragin' Cajun fans this energized about their team in a long time.
It's Billy.
But then their admin took that energy and killed it.
Crushed it.
Was that real?
Well, there's controversy. I've tried to figure it out, and I don't know. So if if Terry or Matt with Rage and Review, one of you guys can call the show, DM. We got to know the truth, because the rumor was that they said to the students, they said, no drinking games, no glass bottles, which that's pretty standard with the glass bottles. But you had to, something like no kegs, no coolers, no nothing where you could potentially have alcohol in it. And so the students were looking at boycotting the game. I mean, what are we doing?
I mean, that's one of the Cajuns' keys to victory. It's
The
the
alcohol.
student section.
I'm all about drinking
I'm at the
responsibly.
student
but
section.
My God.
Well, and my thing is this. If you're not going to do it, like if you're not going to let them do it on campus, they're just going to do it somewhere else. And so what are they going to do? Me and Tip talked about this last night, too. What are they going to do? They're going to go to Baton Rouge and do it. I mean, and so you're looking, you have a school you're trying so hard to get the student support. And I mean, yeah.
You're talking about just sabotaging yourself.
But then I saw
no
something
sense.
come out that it wasn't exactly true. So we'll see. I want to see how the turnout is. But
I refuse to believe it, so I'm going to say that's got to be a myth.
I don't know. I mean,
Well, if they're thinking about it, like maybe they're on the fence about it. I don't know. Just let the students be students.
Wasn't this the same school that banned a fraternity from going to the game?
from going to the
Right.
games. Yeah. So they have a lot of.
There's been an ongoing battle between the administration and the Greeks for sure.
Oh, man.
They
at that
have
school.
And I mean, for what it's worth, we used to talk about that here.
Yep.
Was a big problem. You had great fan support, and then there was a disconnect between the Greeks and the school administration and the athletic department. And it seems like they got that going on down in Louisiana right now. But anyway, on to that game. I think especially if they get a good turnout from the crowd, I think Louisiana is gonna. They, just like we talked about with FIU, they found a quarterback now, and he's an athletic kid too, which is something, he can bail you out of trouble. He can make up for some of the lacking elsewhere. And so I think Louisiana is going to smack Buffalo. Ain't good.
I want to see it 2 weeks in a row, because
That's
a lot
right.
of times when you put you make the decision to change quarterbacks, you get that influx of energy, influx of everybody behind them. Can you carry it over to the next week and play the same quality football that you did last week? We'll see. I think they can.
Yeah, 100%. Then you got Kent State going to Fresno State. In the words of Swag Bear, they have no shot. Fresno just looks really good, and they've got to just play a clean game. More games in the Mountain West. New Mexico at UMass. 3-point spread on that game. It's probably gonna be a pretty entertaining game if that's televised. Nevada going to Texas State. We had this as our lock of the week. Texas State looks red hot. They're 17-point favorites. Jeff. TJ Finley just going to keep it going, or what?
Yeah, I think TJ Finley and GJ Kinney. How about that? The head coach and the starting quarterback both kind of got the nickname, letter first names and last name. I like them to continue to roll. And, they were our lock of the week with Southern Roots Radio. And shout out JP, one of the founders of Southern Roots Radio, here checking us out.
I was wondering who this fellow was standing under the tree here. I mean, sometimes.
He's got a good spot. I mean,
he's got a great spot.
Of all this land, we choose
We were in the
spot where the sun
we were in the
is
shade.
We started in the
30
shade.
minutes
blasted on
ago.
my bald head.
30 minutes ago, we were like, oh, it's fall. It's a cool, crisp morning, and now I'm sweating.
Jesse's starting to get red
I
again.
was just
Yeah.
saying in the live chat, somebody check Jesse's temperature.
I got some Pedialyte for you over there. We get you
My
going.
face red right now?
You a little red.
Ah,
You get a little
geez.
red.
God,
That right.
Texas State rolls.
Texas State rolls.
Oh, covered. Yeah, they covered.
Here's one for you. James Madison traveling across the country to Utah State. James Madison, after a very physical game against Troy, low scoring. What I'll say about James Madison is this. Their defense flies to the football. I mean, every time Troy looked like they had, an open hole or some space on the outside, next thing you know, there's 3 or 4 James Madison defenders there. And so I don't know how Utah State's they're going to try to get them in space. They're going to try to throw it all over the place, but I don't see it. I mean, unless James Madison has a letdown game after, again, an emotional rivalry type game at Troy, big, long travel across the country, different time zone, all that could play a factor. But I think Utah State's not great. And I think James Madison's defense is good. But, well, you're over there nodding your head, Jesse, because before the show, you had a little something to say about James Madison.
Oh, no, I did. I was more looking to see. I want to make sure it was at Utah State. And, yeah, it could upset happen, in my opinion. Yeah, I may tick a lot of people here off, especially in Troy, Alabama. But as I was thinking about it throughout the week, I was like, I don't really think that was that impressive of a game. I don't think James Madison really impressed me that much. And I don't think Troy impressed me that much either. This isn't Troy from last year. And James Madison, Georgia State's just done something to me. And I think Georgia State's going to be better than James Madison. I think App State, depending on how that game goes today at Wyoming, that's going to tell me a lot about the East. But, yeah, James Madison going to Utah State all the way across the country, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibilities. Their offense wasn't that great.
No, they weren't. Yeah, that's an interesting one. It's definitely an interesting game to keep an eye on today.
We'll talk more about Troy here in a minute.
Yeah, a couple other games in the Sun Belt. Texas A&M Commerce goes to Old Dominion, no line on that, and then Southern Miss only 7-point favorites in Jonesboro, brick by brick. For you Tennessee fans out here running around.
I don't know. I think that's actually going to be a good game.
I think 7 is right about.
I think
where
too.
the line needs to be.
I see Southern Miss winning that game, but it's going to be one of those dog. It's going to be a dog fight.
It might be. So let's get into our games of the week. We got a couple of them. Really, these are some incredible games.
Really are.
I want to start here. Virginia Tech at Marshall. Now, this is the start for Marshall of when we talked about preseason. Their schedule, honestly, now that Georgia State appears to be really good, let me read you off Marshall's schedule here. They got Virginia Tech today. Then they got Old Dominion. Then they're at NC State, at Georgia State, home versus James Madison, at Coastal, at App State, home versus Georgia Southern, at South Alabama. And then they finish with Arkansas State. We're going to find out real quick if Marshall is the top dog in the East starting today.
Yeah.
Now, they're favored against Virginia Tech, and I think they'll get it done against Virginia Tech. They're pretty bad. The state of Virginia is backwards for the national media's sake because their Power 5 teams are terrible, and their Group of 5 teams are pretty good.
I think Virginia is the only 0-4 team in the country. Right
Yeah,
now.
they are.
Grant Wells coming back to Marshall.
That's right. Little storyline.
How you think this Marshall defense is gonna attack him and play this game? They're ready to.
I think they're going to
pressure him, and
I think they're going to light him up. I think
Yeah.
they're going to send
100%.
everything at him and
100%.
make him feel that he should have stayed
100%.
in
Yeah.
Huntington. But
You
the
got
only
something.
thing that worries me, when we're favored as a Group of 5 team at home against the Power 5, you got to show up.
It's a recipe for disaster.
You got to show up and
Yeah.
prove that they were right. But I do think Marshall handles business.
Yeah, I agree.
I thought you had something, but I mean, I'm fired up for this game because I know for a fact Marshall's going to have a sellout crowd. They're going to be hype. Virginia Tech can't stop a nosebleed. Their run defense is horrible.
Yeah.
Rasheen Ali, he's already got almost 222 yards this year. I think he is going to open up the Hokies. I think it's big. I think double-digit victory for Marshall against Virginia Tech.
I think big, and I think I saw where they're going to stripe the stadium, so where they do the green and white stripes.
Nice.
So I think big crowd there. I think Marshall big.
I love the -5. I think
You think hammer that thing?
I think so.
Here's one for you guys. One current, one former rivalry of the Blue Raiders here in Middle Tennessee. Western Kentucky going to Troy. Now, if you would have asked me preseason, I would have said this is game of the century in the Group of 5. Best offense in the Group of 5, best defense in the Group of 5. Neither have been as impressive as we thought, Jeff. And so I don't know what's going to happen here. Troy's defense looked better, but again, like Jesse said, James Madison offense is not fantastic, but they finally got some pressure. They're going to need to get a lot of pressure, and Reddy Stewart's going to have his hands full today with that Western offense.
He is, and I think Austin Reed's going to have a big day. I think they got to understand and know that Troy, they got to watch that film from last week and see that defensive front for Troy. They woke up last week and got a ton of pressure on Jordan McLeod. So I think Austin Reed knows that. So expect a lot of quick passes in the beginning, some screen game to really kind of nullify that rush. If they can do that, then it opens up everything else because Western's not a big run team. So they're not in that. And that's what I think Troy's defense tends to do a better job at containing. So, yeah, Reddy Stewart's going to have his hands full on the outside with Malachi Corley. But like you said, Austin Reed, that offense hasn't looked like it has the last couple of years. But same thing with Troy's defense. So it's going to be a great matchup either way. Being at Troy, I like them at home. Shouldn't have the rain today. So it should be a great game, and the crowd should be jumping down to Troy.
I forgot. Did we all pick Marshall in that game? We're supposed to be making picks
got
here, and
Marshall.
I'm in
I got
Chandler.
Marshall.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think that was
Marshall.
unanimous.
I think it was pretty.
So you
known.
got Troy.
Oh no, I didn't pick Troy.
I thought you just said you got Troy at home.
No, I said I like Troy at home.
We'll make your
Sounds
pick.
like a pick.
I thought we were picking at the
Hey,
end.
I like steak, but I eat chicken sometimes.
Ain't no doubt about it. I'm going with the Hilltoppers. I think the Hilltoppers roll. I think Gunnar Watson can't go pass for pass with Austin Reed.
Jack Nicholson.
Tip, what do you got?
I agree with what Murph just said. Western Kentucky's offense hasn't been what we thought they were going to be this year so far, but I think they're good enough to basically, to just outscore Troy in this game. I don't think Troy's offense can keep up and score enough points against this Western Kentucky team.
Well, I'm going to take Troy, man. I think Troy responds well after adversity. So I'm going to, I don't like it. I'm changing my opinion. I'm changing my opinion.
Okay.
Because everybody else up here saying Western, and now I got it.
Well, you know what I could see happening is Vidal gets going.
They're gonna need to.
And
That's
they
what
pound
happened
the
last
rock
year.
And they're able to open it up.
Yeah, anyway, I'm not afraid to admit it. Like an hour ago, I was like, I think Western big. But now I'm changing my tune a little bit. I'm just thinking about it. Go, who you got, Swaggy?
I'm going to make it short and sweet. Love you, Chuck. I think that Troy knows deep down they're a little overrated. I can't believe that they're favored to win this game. I love Western Kentucky in this.
I am. That is interesting that Troy is favored. So that's part of my.
Well, you get beat by a pretty good Ohio State team, so now you're not going to be. They're just favoring the home team, but that I like. Usually, I like a good defense, but I like this offense over that defense.
Here's a big one. Here's, I think, another chance. We're about to have like 20 Group of 5 over Power 5 wins after this week.
We hit the mark.
We're going to get Marshall, and I think we're going to get this one too. Memphis. They're technically the road team at Missouri, but the game's in St. Louis. It's a neutral site.
I don't like that.
Don't like what?
The neutral site.
What don't you like about it, Jeff?
I don't know. It's in a dome. It just,
It's better than going to Missouri, though.
Yeah, but as a player, I want to play in that hostile environment. I want to be, at Missouri, playing in a big-time game. Not that this isn't a big-time game, but I don't know. You're playing in a dome. They got the weather. I don't know.
Well, is Missouri undefeated right now?
They are.
They kicked a 61-yard field goal last week to stay that way.
Stop that kid, and Memphis has got a
He
chance.
stopped the kicker, because they're in field goal range as soon as they get the ball with that kid. So here's the thing. Missouri's run defense is really good. They're allowing 83 yards per game. Run defense is really good. Memphis, running back,
Really good on the ground.
is really good. So that's your matchup. Which team is going to be able to do that? Because if Memphis can't run the ball, I know Hennigan's a good quarterback, but we talked about it last week a little bit. He's been not very aggressive, been checking down a little bit too much, in my opinion. So that's where Memphis is going to have to get it done on the ground today. I hope that they do, but Blake Watson is the key to this ball game.
Blake Watson's a beast. I mean, I see that guy running for the Dallas Cowboys here soon.
Yeah.
Because, like you said, Blue Bloods, RBU, Memphis has got great talent. Blake Watson really impressed me against Navy. But I agree with you. I don't think it's going to be just Blake Watson. Seth Hennigan, he's going to have to just kind of put the game on his back. Take some shots, my friend. Take some shots. Stop these check downs and going 3rd and 10. I want some shots. And then, there's your shot. He takes that shot. I think they can beat Missouri. However, I'm sorry. I'm taking Missouri.
Oh,
Sorry.
wow. I'm going Memphis in this game. Tip?
Yeah, I'm worried about this Missouri run defense. I think that's what's going to win this game for Missouri. I'm going to pick Missouri. I'm just afraid also Seth Hennigan. He has 3 interceptions so far this year. He could make some key crucial turnovers at some point in this game. And yeah, it's mainly that rush defense. So I'm picking Missouri in this game.
I hate pointing out just one individual, but it is the